Menendez in New York with Simone Sanders-Townsend and Michael Steele in Washington, D.C. Today, the New York Attorney General is demanding answers about where Donald Trump got the money for his $175 million civil fraud bond. This as the ex-president hurls new threats to judges in his legal cases in a series of what I'm going to call unhinged social media posts. And back in the real world, acting Labor Secretary Julie Su is going to be at the table to discuss the stellar jobs report and how the Biden administration is taking its message to the American people. Grab your coffee, settle in. Welcome to the weekend. We start this morning, new developments in Donald Trump's hush money case. With the trial just a week away, Trump is doing all he can to delay. His lawyers have filed a new motion for Judge Juan Merchan to recuse himself. They are citing Merchan's daughter, who works for a company that supports Democratic candidates, as a sign that Merchan is biased. And yesterday, Trump argued online that Judge Merchan is violating the Constitution. In fact, Trump attacked 3 judges involved in his various cases with a post that included this ominous statement, quote, "How many corrupt judges do I have to endure before somebody steps in?" Joining us now, MSNBC contributor and former U.S. attorney and senior FBI official Chuck Rosenberg and MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin.
So, Chuck, I'm just going to cut to the quick here. What is it that these judges don't get with Donald Trump at this point, with the gag orders, with the imposing on penalties to check his rogue behavior? I don't get it. I mean, the man is now putting out subtle threat warnings to this judge, getting his base. We've already had how many incidences now where his rogue members of his base have gone off and done stupid stuff, Nancy Pelosi's husband, et cetera. I don't get. Tell me, what am I missing, and what is America missing that the courts just can't shut this man up?
Well, nobody's had much success with that, Michael, but I would say it this way. The judges have a job to do, and their job is done in the courtroom. Mm-hmm. Right? They have to adjudicate a trial, and there will be one soon in New York.
Yep.
Fairly and honestly and accurately. They can't react to everything he says or writes or does. They'll make rulings in the courtroom based on evidence, on facts, and on law. It's like an umpire in a baseball game. They're not supposed to react to players who yell at them. They may throw them out,
right?
But they have a job to do, right? They judge the game. And that's what you're seeing here. I'd be surprised, in fact, if judges were going to react to everything that Mr. Trump said and did. That wouldn't be proper. They have a different role here.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know, Simone. I just think it's, for me, I don't know what evidence we need short of something horrific happening to one of these judges or a member of their family or someone on their staff that then people will go, oh, well, maybe we should just put his behind in jail to shut him up. But that's just my reaction. I know Chuck, the prosecutor's like, okay, now, Michael, that's not how the system works. I get it.
But I understand I understand. I feel the same way. I saw something on Instagram yesterday about it was a judge in court. The defendant was on Zoom. The judge, it was all done. The defendant said something smart about the judge, called him a word I'm not going to repeat on television. And then the judge held him in contempt right away. And I was like, well, why can't this happen for Donald Trump? You have lawyers who, the American College of Trial Lawyers, these are the people, okay? They have a letter from the group condemning Donald Trump's personal attacks on the judges. They say attacks like these are dangerous because the risk of provoking violence against judges, prosecutors, and their families. They also undermine the public's trust in the rule of law and threaten the independence of the judiciary because they are intimidating. Lisa Rubin, why?
Simone, one of the things I've been thinking about as I'm hearing you and Chuck talk is, of course, the judges themselves have not been covered by any of the existing gag orders. That's in large part because some of these judges believe, I took this job, I understood what the risks were. Some of them, like Juan Merchan or Arthur Engoron, who presided over the civil fraud trial, are themselves elected officials, and they have security apparatuses at their disposal. So some of them might think it's not appropriate for them to become subjects of the gag order. But to the point of the tweet that you read, how many corrupt judges must I endure before somebody steps in? I want to remind you and our viewers, someone did try to step in last week or a couple of weeks ago, and Lawrence New York, a man was arrested for phoning in very serious, credible, and specific threats, both to New York Attorney General Letitia James and Judge Engoron himself, and then was arrested. His next court appearance will be in the coming days. But this is a man who's currently being held in custody because he essentially said to both of these actors, you try anything further against Donald Trump, and I'm coming after you. Trump knows exactly what he's doing. He is not flouting the gag order, but he is violating its spirit time and time again.
Right, Lisa, to that point, I wonder the extent to which this motion to vacate is really about, I'm sorry, I'm using congressional language in legal context,
okay.
but I wonder about the extent to which it is about almost like a workaround around the gag order. For Donald Trump to be able to say everything he wants to say about Juan Merchan in an acceptable context.
That's absolutely what it is. It's absolutely a workaround. It's a workaround in two ways. One, I can use this legal filing to sort of circumvent the gag order because I'm saying in a judicial context what I can't say extrajudicially, right? But on the other hand, the other thing that it's doing, it's an opposition research brief disguised as a legal document. And so the collapsing of the political and the legal here into one big ball of wax is something we shouldn't lose sight of either. When I not only read the motion for recusal, I read all the exhibits that go with it. And I thought to myself, two things. One, any of this was out in the public domain for the curious person before. But wow, this was quite an effort to compile all of these things. Past advertisements, FEC disbursements, and so on and so forth. Who did that? That doesn't look to me like the job of a lawyer. And I have been both in the legal and political realms. That looks like a campaign operation.